Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Welcome to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Today, Femi Ojo is my name, and this is where we say it as it is. Tope is there. Good morning, Tope.
Good morning, Femi. Good morning, dear Nigerians. Thank you for joining us for the midweek installment of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. It is a beautiful day. My name is Tope Ajijola. What we do for you here is to keep you abreast of happenings around you through the headlines and the newspaper review, basically, and then to give you quality analysis through the lenses of our analysts. Today promises to be a good day.
And of course, so much to talk about the issues around the electronic transmission of election results. In a kind of way, the Senate has found their way around it. You know, semantics, call it technicality, as they say in law, and all of those things. They've, you know, it's neither here nor there, but here we are on the matter.
They eventually made good on, you know, their deliberation, and then they've passed it. It's going to be electronic and manual.
Right. So for the Senate, the words real time was dropped, wasn't used. Okay, let there be uploading, let there be electronic transmission, but you know, where real time is available, do it. Where it is not, do the otherwise. So it is what it is. But then we look into that, the pros and cons in the coming days. The protest, you know, went on yesterday as well as it did on Monday. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the newspaper segment is on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We are now. Stay with us. Let's start the newspaper segment with the Punch newspaper. Punching in hard. Electoral Act Amendment. Opposition protest as senators back a manual result transmission. Electoral Act Amendment. Opposition protest as senators back a manual results transmission. With riders here, Upper Chamber appoint 12-member panel to harmonize bill with reps. Atiku, Amici, El-Rufai, child lawmakers. As Senate okays electronic manual result transmission. Senate okays electronic manual result transmission. Right, so here we are. And PDP crisis, appeal court orders harmonized briefs ahead of judgment. Below that, Army deploys special forces to Benue and Taraba. Army deploys special forces to Benue and Taraba. I hope those special forces are deployed to Kwara as well. In fact, all the states in Nigeria now need special forces. Security guard hacked to death at Ogun Church altar. That's bizarre. Yeah. Security guard hacked to death at Ogun Church altar. Sad one here. And pressure mounts on Bayelsa governor over choice of deputy. You will remember Professor Erujapo passed on, you know, weeks or months ago, just before the Utah, actually. While Doyedire defected from the PDP to the APC, the late Erujapo didn't defect as his deputy governor. So they're waiting to see, you know, live Habor's vacuum. Somebody has to occupy that particular position of the deputy governor of the state. And state spent 455 billion naira to service foreign loans. State spent 455 billion naira to service foreign loans, and Nigeria sleeps on global corruption index. Nigeria sleeps on global corruption index, and Wike Fubara called truce after Tinubu's move. Right, I saw the video of the man yesterday while inspecting a particular project, as Wike said. By the way, there are reports that, you know, the president had meetings with them, I think on Sunday night or so. And Wike talking yesterday said that, you know, the last intervention, this last intervention of the president will be the last, you know, because there will be no issues. And I was almost saying I should have the opportunity of telling him face to face, like, you must really think Nigeria really cares about the shenanigans. Like, you must
Revolves
really
around
think you are
him.
the headliner or the newsmaker every time. It to be a thing of shame, really, to say, oh, this will be the last of it. And we even let he has given his boys, at the State House of Assembly to do the needful. Actually, there was impeachment proceedings that was started against the governor, Sim Fubara. And another report said, quoted the governor, that's Sim Fubara, to say his Oga has told him to, finish a particular project or something somewhere. And, but my point is, these guys must really think Nigeria still, let me use the street language, like say they still send you. I think Nigerians are moved on. Whatever you people want, it gets to a point that if there is an issue, aggression in a place, people, especially in the communities, neighbors will come and say, oh, stop it. All of these things, oh, sorry, sorry, everybody. When it becomes people who just, roll up their windows and say, whatever you want to do to yourselves, do to yourself. We have better things to, think about.
Right.
That's simple. As that, U.S. deploys 200 troops to Nigeria. U.S. deploys 200 troops to Nigeria. And, that'll be all from the Punch. But let me go back to this big bold headline, and the riders, rather, that says, all right, the headline, opposition protests as senators back manual result transmission. I saw a part of the proceeding where Eyinaya Baribe actually, stood up when it was time, for him to speak. Quite intense plenary yesterday. And he said, okay, now that the push has come to shove, instead of the mandatory, that choral, conventional, the high, if you are in support, say yay. If you are not, say nay. Eyinaya Baribe stood up to say, why can't we? And he brought up, a particular, I think, section 72 or so of the other book, in the other book of the Senate, to say, in a matter like this, let's do it personally. Let everybody mention, identify, show where they belong on constitutional matters like this, because you are trying to alter something. And so I will stand up and say,
and so that they'll be identified.
You'll be identified. And maybe the man was trying to say, so that history will have it, that on this day, these are the people who did this. These are the people who did that. Of course, you expect that with an Akpabio Senate can only be overruled. Even without him saying, he went on with the voice vote thing. If you're supposed to say, you're supposed to say nay, even before the nay, he slammed the gavel. But then history is being written at this time. That's all from the part.
All right, we move now to Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The banner headline, Senate's e-transmission approval raises new questions. Senate's e-transmission approval raises new questions. And right there, you can see just below the nameplate, U.S. to deport 97 Nigerians over immigration offenses. 10 killed, many abducted in Kogi, Benue. And right here, DSS refuses to release teenager abducted by personnel. NIMET predicts only rainfall in Kano. All right, I take that again. NIMET predicts early rainfall in Kano, Niger, Rivers, 12 other states. Woman arrested for allegedly poisoning co-wife in Gombe. And son conspires with hoodlums to abduct father. To the bottom stream, article Makinde visit IBB, ex-VP 6 backing for ADC. Article Makinde visit IBB, ex-VP 6 backing for ADC. And those headlines making the face of Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Interesting. It's not unexpected that alignments are already going on at this time, because one will think, as they say in politics, right? The same article that of the PDP then, that Sheyi Makinde and his integrity brothers, not that they refuse to support. To support somebody, not to support somebody can mean you are standing down to say, I won't support whatever you are doing. It's another thing for you to work against that person. It's not the same. I can choose not to support your cause, but I will say whatever is my support, I keep it in my pocket. It's another thing for me to gather,
actively work against,
mobilize my arsenal, and actively, that's the word, work against that particular cause. That's what Makinde, Ikpazu, Samuel Otom, Governor Wike, and think Governor Ugwanye. So the G5 guys, did against Atiku. Now, the same Makinde, repentant, born again Makinde, that's what he called himself. Yeah. Last week in your state, was seen with Atiku and at IBB's house. And some might say maybe they met there. Maybe. But in politics, in Nigeria, at least that I'm sure, nothing happens by chance. Everything is calculated and is planned for, even years ahead. All right. Let's see the Guardian newspaper for today. The Guardian, INEC under spotlight as Senate shifts ground on e-transmission. INEC under spotlight as Senate shifts ground on e-transmission as electronic transmission. And of course, you see the stakeholders here, Professor Joash Amupiton, Senate President Councilor Pabio, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Sajidin Abbas. All right. Right. And below that, Russia denies report of Nigerian mercenaries killed in Ukraine war. Russia denies report of Nigerian mercenaries killed in Ukraine war. I wonder if there's any reason for this. If anybody has picked up a profession of being a mercenary, is either you kill or you're killed. And if they're of Nigerian descent, I'm wondering what really matters, why it's really important for Russia to say no Nigerian mercenaries was killed. That doesn't matter.
All right, it's very important. Last week, there was a report about a particular man, about Africans generally being killed in the Ukraine-Russia war, and not conventional killings now. There was a particular guy who was strapped with landmines and was, purposefully, taken to Ukraine so that they could blast the way, in. And so they were using these people, Africans, as more like a way to just, as collateral damage, let's put it that way, as collateral damage. So it's very important, this statement is important to tell us the Nigerians
like
are not
explosives are strapped to individuals.
Yes.
Okay.
So there was that report last week.
And there were African
at this time, African descent. Okay. All right. Yes. So that was the report. And so right here, I was wondering if Nigerians, when I saw that report,
talking about mercenaries.
Well, whatever it is, it's saying that they are not being killed, especially maybe that way. And it's a different thing when someone dies in line of battle and on active duty, but not to be deliberately sent to the front lines to be killed.
All right. Well, that's what the detail will do when one goes through that. But the point I was trying to make earlier is the moment you try to pick up a gun against another person. So is it that you kill or be killed, but not in that kind of circumstance that you described. Lagos State government seeks food, water, vendors, others support in war against cholera. Lagos State government, LASG, seeks food, water, vendors, others support in war against cholera. And Lagos, 12 other states to experience longer rainfall in 2026, says NIMET. Now, I think I've been on this desk enough to have sounded, especially when these advisories come out in this way, to say it is not, there wouldn't be, I'm not sure there has been any year that advisories, repeated advisories don't come from NIMET. But then you still see many state governments or communities being caught, like we were not aware, like we were not, like we were helpless. No, we weren't. Mother Nature, and that's why we have science to give us at least a sign, a clue that something is going to happen. So prepare ahead. But you still see Kogi, you still see, especially Kogi State, Lagos State, some part of, I think, Niger last year. And it does, these things don't come without casualties. That's the issue. So my point exactly is, what do we always do? State government, there is a way. And what you will see here is state government to say, oh, evacuate that area, which is very cliche. Evacuate that area. But if you want to really help, you will pass down these messages in the language or languages that people will understand, not just to stay in the state capital and be issuing press releases. That's one. Number two, go ahead and make provisions to say there is danger coming, my people. You might have to leave this place. But while you are leaving this place, we are not just leaving you blank. This is the place you will be. There will be medical service. There will be food. There will be water. At least it's when you are alive that you can claim your ancestral land. And then that is what you do. Even in the best of the climes, the ones we call nations of the world, Senate climes, in the US it happened.
Yeah.
You know, they had issues with fire last year. And everybody will have to leave, keep moving. But they are not just moving into hopelessness. They are moving into a particular place. So when the whole thing is down, then you can be resettled. And that's the way it is. So it's not just to say, oh, because I know, in fact, here, if I'm given a pen, I can write whatever state government can write for you. If you are living in lowlands, move to the uplands. If you are doing all those things, and it doesn't work that way. And of course, if you have tried all of those things, and some person, in fact, there are times that people don't want to leave, they are forced to leave. That's when security personnel came in and I will come in and say, you must just move. Move it right now. And that's the way it should be. Now the advisories are coming as early as February. What will state governments do on this matter? Not just in the federal level, even local governments. That should be their job.
You know, the thing with this is not to just issue the advisory. Governments everywhere, I'm talking about across the states in Nigeria, should help with the evacuation. Let there be set dates, let there be deadlines, you know, for evacuations and before enforcement comes in. So it's not just about issuing this advisory to them to evacuate their places. You actually help, you know, with the evacuation. And apart from that, how about, we've been having this over years. We're really blessed that we don't have other disasters. We don't have a fire outbreak and it just comes like that. It's like they have in other climes. But Nigeria is that blessed that it's only flooding, as much as it is very, very disastrous. But flooding is what we have. And that means we can act ahead. Unlike fire that just comes, even though those, there will still be advisory, there will still be warnings that there would be, you know, fires, you know, here and there. But this is what we have on our hands. Governments should be more proactive, you know, before time. We've had this over years. And so from a particular year, we can even start from this year to, you know, give other temporary shelters to build it and have it done. But that's not what we have. So we need to be more proactive.
Right.
You know.
Exactly my point. And academics rule selective implementation of 40% pay rise. Selective implementation of 40% pay rise. And Zoni Row, court battles test opposition cohesion ahead of 2027. Expert urge the federal government to criminalize ransom payment to terrorists. Expert urge federal government to criminalize ransom payments. The terrorists. I'm sure most persons have so many things to say.
Yeah, many Nigerians will say that are being urged to criminalize something. Are they not caught in the act themselves?
What?
I said many Nigerians would ask the federal government that you're urging to criminalize something. Are they not caught in the act themselves? Or maybe when you urge them to criminalize it, once it's done, then they do better. But did they not know that it was a criminal, you know, act to, you know, negotiate or to, you know, pay terrorists? And I mean, in the first place.
Let me talk. I have a lot to say about that.
A lot.
Now, we've had these attributed to experts, right? That's number one. We've had positions like that being made at different assemblies, even at the National Assembly.
Yes.
But the point is this. Now, for these persons putting out this point, fair enough, they have a point there to say ransoms are always being used to, you know, make these people to purchase more arms against the people. You know, their weaponry, their arsenal is being boosted because they have money on their hands. And so they spread their business. Just take it or leave it. It's a business. Very terrible, terribly lucrative business, actually. So these are some of the things. So when they get more money, they expand, they take more people, because any business stuff like that, you are making money. What do you do to it? You keep doing it. You keep making money. But on this one, it's a terrible business, a wicked criminal business. That's on one side. Now, you want to criminalize payment of ransom without being able to prevent the abduction from taking place. That's the point. It's illogical. Now, flip it over. You are telling me, or you are telling somebody, as we say in Nigeria, God forbid, that has his wife kidnapped, and you are telling the person, leave it for the government to handle. Don't pay ransom. Really, Oga? Or somebody's husband. There was a time in Abuja, I think it was 2 years ago, where a complete family, except the man, the father, I think all of the daughters, they were kidnapped. And you're telling that person, once you pay ransom, you're a criminal. No. You will always have a 1 before you get to 2. That's the point here. That's what flaws this particular argument. You can't get to 2 without having passed through what? 1. It's because the state failed to prevent these things from happening. It's because the state is failing to protect his people. That's where it got to the level of ransom. If there is no abduction, would there be ransom payment? So it's as flawed as that. So you are telling people, stay put. If you pay ransom, we'll sue you to court. How about preventing the criminals from abducting people? I think it's a flawed argument. I'm not sure it will never fly. Actually. It's as easy as that. You know, in Yoruba, they will say, loosely, let me translate. It means, if you can't help me, leave me as I am. It's as simple. You don't want to help me. You are not leaving me as I am. And you say, by the time people resort to self-help, you say it's a crime. We joke too much. It's as bad as that. All right. Top stream, Nigeria spent 3.53. I take that again. Nigeria spent 3.53 trillion naira importing raw materials locally available. Okay. CISLAC urges action as Nigeria dips in global corruption rating. Really? Okay. I'm waiting for, a reporter from the presidency on this matter to say you are lying. Corruption, okay. No, not happy. Court bars Osun local government funds utilization pending the end of trial. All right, that'll be all from the Guardian.
Is it the same funds that we're hearing that are already being spent? And even they themselves said they are spending it already. At least they've used it, to pay some traditional rulers, But we'll see about that. To the Nation newspaper right this morning, results transmission, Senate, House disagree on real time. Results transmission, Senate, House disagree on real time. And the rider harmonization of versions begins. Harmonization of versions begin. Red Chamber okays e-upload to iRev. Red Chamber okays e-upload to iRev. The presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the iRev. That's the Senate version. The Commission shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the iRev in real time. That's the House version. The presiding officer shall transfer the results in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. That's Electoral Act 2022 version. So we have 3 different versions, but we shall see what the harmonization, yields for Nigeria. And just above that, Tinubu has strengthened our federalism. Tinubu has strengthened our federalism. CBN caps weekly BDC purchase at $150,000. CBN caps weekly BDC purchase at $150,000. That's Baruch Shang purchase right there. All right, let's use policies to improve lives, says President. Let's use policies to improve lives, says President. And right there to the bottom strip, Rivers crisis, Wike hopeful Fubara will abide by agreements. Rivers crisis, Wike hopeful Fubara will abide by agreements. Right, just above the nameplate and now to the top strip of the paper. NRS targets 40.7 trillion naira 2026 revenue, and the rider, how tax laws can work. Atiku, Makinde, others visit Babangida. Atiku, Makinde, others visit Babangida. Politicians flock Mina. NACON chair quits amid graft allegation. NACON chair quits amid graft allegation. And right there, the rider, operators fear disruption. Operators fear disruption. There is a trend now where once you're fingered in any allegation of corruption or, that has to do with finance, you quit and we hear nothing about it.
That's all.
We've had nothing so far as far as NMDPRA is concerned with the Farouk Ahmed, issue and his counterpart in the other stream. But then let's see what happens if this man is going to be tried, if he's going to be prosecuted, if anything is going to come of this. But it's an allegation. But then he has quit. Let's see what happens.
All right. That'll be all at this time. We'll take this quick break. When we return, we speak to issues, qualities, governance, elections, support, alignment, and realignments. Stay with us.